About a month ago, Formula Addict put out this graphic showing the average price for a 3-day ticket at each race on the F1 calendar this year, and the cheapest of them all was the Hungarian Grand Prix, which just so happens to be the race that I went to. So I thought I'd go into a little bit more detail about the cost behind the weekend, then answer the ultimate question of how much does it really cost to go to the cheapest F1 race of the year. Also, if you are interested in the trip more in general, there's a vlog up on the channel right now where you can go and see everything that we got up to, so if you want to see that, that's there. Anyway, let's start with the tickets themselves. So the cheapest tickets you can get for the weekend are the general admission tickets, which cost around about £140 for the 3 days. With these, you don't have any seats, you don't have any grandstands, you kind of just have to stand wherever you can, and you're just in a big huddle of people. If it rains, you know, it sucks, because you're standing on grass. The most expensive tickets are the Super Gold tickets, which will set you back around about £620 for the 3 days. And these are on the grandstands, which are alongside the pit lane. The main benefit of this seating being, if it does rain, it's the only grandstand with a roof for some protection. There's also like the Formula 1 Club or whatever they call them now, which is like the €2,000 tickets, but I imagine if you're watching a video called how much does it cost to go to the cheapest F1 race, you're not really going to be wanting to spend €2,000. The tickets that we went for in the end though were the Gold 4 grandstand tickets, which cost £332.14, and although they are nearly half the price of the Super Gold, I do believe that they are in a much better location. As more experienced F1 fans may know, the Hungaroring is a nearly 3-mile long circuit with 14 corners, but there is only one section of the track and one corner where anything actually happens, and this is turn 1. And the Gold 4 grandstand gives you the best possible view of this part of the track. Although, as I said, it doesn't have a roof on it, so if it does rain, like it did in FP1 this year, you will get wet, but, you know, it's just water. And just a quick tangent at the minute about just enjoying the race trackside. As you may expect, it's a lot harder than when you're watching the race at home. The majority of grandstands do have screens next to them, so you can see the race even when the cars aren't right in front of you, but they are like a little bit too small, and they're also the wrong shape. Like, for example, on the Saturday for qualifying, they had to crop out the bottom of the TV. So where you see the sector times and the colours where it goes like green, purple, red, we had no idea if a sector a driver had just driven was quicker or slower than they'd gone before. For the actual race, this was improved because they make the driver names bigger on the side, but they also colour them the team's colours and put them on a black background, which meant for some drivers, such as the Red Bull drivers, you could barely read their name and you didn't really know where they were. And like this could just easily be fixed by putting a white outline around the name. That's all they have to do to fix this, and they haven't done it. If you're watching this, whoever makes the graphics for race side stuff, just put a white outline around the name, please. Also, there is commentary for the whole weekend, broadcasted across speakers around the track, and it's in multiple languages. At the Hungarian race, it was English, German, Hungarian, and Italian, but obviously only one commentator can speak at a time, so they have to take it in turns. And by the time the English guy had had his turn, he had to try and recap everything that had happened whilst everyone else was taking their turn. So by the time he'd done that, he didn't really have much time to talk about what was actually happening at the moment. And also, I don't want to hate too much on the English commentator guy, because I've no idea who he was, but he wasn't great. He would just constantly pronounce people's names wrong, and it seemed like he never really knew what was happening. He also had to commentate on the F2 and the F3 races, where he would not only pronounce people's names wrong, but he would say certain drivers were overtaking and making moves, when not only were they not the ones making moves, but they weren't even competing in that race. Like, for example, I remember at one point in the F3 race, he said that Victor Martins was fighting for the lead, when Victor Martins is currently competing in Formula 2. Anyway, if you buy tickets though for all 3 days, you then become eligible to purchase tickets for a special event on the Thursday called the High Speed Test. Now, tickets to this cost about £20, and in this event you sit in the Super Gold grandstand and you can watch the safety car and medical car go around the track, But the main thing of the high-speed test is after that you're allowed to walk onto the grid itself, and then you can walk down the pit lane and get up close and personal with all the cars that you'll see all weekend. And you also may be lucky and get up and close with some of the drivers. Whilst we were there, Sergio Perez was wandering around the Red Bull garage, Lance Stroll was running laps of the track, and Valtteri Bottas was cycling the track as well, and at one point nearly ran over my friend on his bike. Right, now let's talk about flights, because flights are a nightmare. Living in North Wales, our choices of airports were Manchester or Liverpool, where apparently one of the biggest weekends for tourists coming into Budapest, there is no direct flights to Budapest, and a flight that should be just under 3 hours was extended to nearly 10 hours with stops and layovers. Also, prices weren't great, ranging from £212 to about £324, and that would be with no baggage either, with some flights asking for another £100 if we wanted to take a single suitcase with us. In the end, we found it much cheaper and quicker for us to actually fly from Manchester to Vienna and then make the 2.5-hour drive from Vienna to Budapest. So in the end, our flights there and back cost us £167.50 in total. Then the car rental was £250, which we split between the 4 of us, so it was around £62.50 each. Also, I just found having a car on the trip I found was a huge benefit as well for my enjoyment of the weekend, as it means we didn't have to rely on public transport for the weekend, and it also meant that we were more in control when we wanted to go, when we wanted to come back. We were able to get to the track as it opened each day, and also the track provided free parking as well, so that was great. Now on to accommodation. On the first and last night, we stayed in Vienna in a hotel called the Life Hotel, which is a 10-minute drive from the Vienna airport and cost us £30 per night. Then, when we got into Budapest, we booked a stay in an Airbnb called Synagogue View Residence, which was located in the centre of Budapest for £720 for the 3 nights over the weekend, which between the 4 of us was £180 each. It was in a really nice location and looked a great place to stay until we got there. The owners completely ghosted us, and then Airbnb later told us that the owners had accidentally double booked us, so we couldn't stay there this weekend. They told us this when we were stood outside the accommodation with our suitcase. So then we had to rush and find somewhere else in Budapest on the weekend of the Hungarian Grand Prix that had somewhere for us to stay. Luckily, we were able to find this place called Astora Centre 8, which was located behind a bar called the Bronx Bar, which their own Twitter describes them as, "We are a Budapest-based gentlemen's club. If you like fine drinks, nice ladies and good music, then come and see us." Our new Airbnb welcomed us with bars on the door, and one night we got back to find a very strange man who we'd never seen before just standing next to the door saying nothing. Now, the photos of this place on the website make it seem much nicer than it actually was. It was actually just one big room with 3 beds in, 2 singles and 1 double. And the absolute best bit of the entire place was the shower, which didn't actually have something to hold the shower head, so you had to hold it yourself. And if you wanted to have a warm shower, you then ran the risk of burning your hand, as the shower head got extremely hot. But the place was £80 cheaper than our original place, so overall we saved £20 each. Yay! But in all seriousness, what I would say about accommodation when attending a race is that you are just sleeping there. We would leave early every morning to get to the track, and when we came back we'd be exhausted in the evening and just fall asleep. So you don't need anything fancy, but a shower head that you don't have to hold would have been nice. The only thing really left to discuss at this point is food, and 9 times out of 10 we would eat at the track, as this was where we spent the majority of our time. And while the food there wasn't incredible, it was still very nice, and on average it would set you back about £10 per meal. So with all things considered, the full cost of the trip was about £890, which is a lot of money, especially to attend the cheapest race of the year, although it is still cheaper than a single ticket to Miami or Las Vegas. And for someone like me who is a huge F1 fan and had never gone to a race before, this is something that I had always wanted to do, but probably won't be doing again for a very long time, as I found actually watching the race trackside very difficult, but being able to actually see and hear the cars is great, and the atmosphere and being around so many passionate fans is fantastic. So there you go, that is the true cost of going to the cheapest F1 race of the year. Let me know what you think, and until next time, goodbye.